All right. You know the deal. This is part 2. If you haven't, go check out part 1. And let's get into this amazing conversation with Jeremiah Smart.
What does better mean? You want to be better than your parents, better than your grandparents, better than the people around you. What does that look like? What does that mean?
What does that mean to me? It's being able to travel the world. And even though they weren't able to, I want to at least say, okay, I'm able to travel the world. That's something that they weren't able to do. I'm able to do the small things that they weren't able to do. I always want to look around what's around me, and I want to be better. I have a very competitive edge, and I just want to make sure that I'm better. And I won't do all of the gloating and bragging, but if you're better than me at something, I'll best believe I'm going to try my best to be, if not tied, if not past you. I learned that in New Hampshire. So that's where that competitive edge came from.
Now, do you see yourself as competing with your parents and grandparents? Or is it, because you kind of alluded to it, but didn't say it, is it you want to be better off because of the example that they set, whether it was a positive or a negative example?
Yes, I want to be better than the examples that I've seen.
And you had that from the time you were 8. And that you've alluded to it. You the first time we talked about it a little bit, you've seen all sides of life. What does that mean? We didn't actually dig into this the last time.
I mean, I've seen birth, I've seen death, I've seen miscarriages, I've seen a lot. I can understand all different aspects of people's lives because I've pretty much seen it all, whether it's learning disabilities, whether it's not being able to walk, not being able to talk, blind, HIV, AIDS, being able to understand cancer and things like that. I've seen at such a young age life. I've seen life taken away and I've seen life giveth. So if you've seen all of that at a young age, when you get older, you tend to become numb to a lot of things.
Would you say you're numb to it, or you just persevere past it?
Persevere. Let's call it that. Yeah,
because you don't seem numb. You seem like it has informed your ability to connect, or even your curiosity, or maybe even just a spark in you that says, you know what? I don't know. I have no clue who you are and what you've said it. You said it a couple times. Like, I just don't know where you're coming from. So it seems like it's just made you capture that and hold it. And you won't let anything tell you that you know who's standing across the street until you talk to them and get to know them.
So that's to see things in life and maintain a positive, optimistic, joyful attitude about life. Like, what forms that for you? Has it been learned? Was it something someone said, or that's just what you choose to do?
A little bit of it all, honestly. A little bit of it all.
You would be the best vampire ever. I was having this conversation yesterday. Someone's like, if you could live forever, wouldn't you just be like a miserable, cranky bastard at the end? And I was like, maybe you see the positive side of the world. Like, you wouldn't just see the negative. Like, yeah, there's a lot of negative stuff, but like, just because something lives forever doesn't mean it's negative and mad and sad. And I think you would be like the happiest, go luckiest vampire of all time, or immortal.
There's a Buddhist philosophy. One of the original capacities, and essentially it's a ratio. I forget exactly the name of the ratio, but it's the ratio of positive to negative influences in a day. And what it actually is in a corporate setting. So thinking about it in terms of business, the lower the ratio, the worse off the people are within the environment. So that means they see more negative stuff than they see positive stuff. They have more negative impacts, and productivity dips. People aren't as happy at work. And it's a position even at a society level. Societies with a lower ratio have lower trust in each other. They are more cynical and all of these things. The higher the ratio, the more natural trust people have in each other, the more positive they are, the more joy they have in their lives, and the higher their collective return on that society is. And I would argue, a lot of that at the same time is perception of those things. Rodney and I learned from a PhD of psychology, he talked about training optimism and this very idea of seeing the positive things, which we often overlook because we're either protecting or we're trained to see the negative. So we're trained to see the person who cut you off, but we don't see the white noise of everybody driving normally, right? And then say, boy, everybody drove well today, and I got home safely because no one swerved in my lane and drove me off the road, and I ended up in a ditch because of some bad driver.
Civic. Good job there, Civic, for not coming over in my lane there.
Thank you all for being a part of the civic responsibility of driving correctly. And it's really hard for a lot of us. And I see that in you yes, you see the bad, but you also see the good. And that ratio is higher on the good than it is on the bad, which gives you hope and positive and energy for life versus dragging you down and beating you up as it does so many. Because it's not, yes, there's some bad shit, but oftentimes we just don't see the good stuff that happens.
Now, I do have a flaw. I'm not going to lie. And I will tell everyone.
I'm not going to say you're perfect.
Oh, God, no. I do have a flaw. One of my biggest flaws is I am impatient. I have zero to little patience. For example, a very, very prime example, right before this meeting and stuff like that, I was on YouTube. And of course, I see the TikTok girl, Addison Rae. I know exactly, me and her from the same state. I know exactly what part of Louisiana she's from. And you're talking to the same person that went to the same school as NBA Youngboy. Well, his real name is Contrail. You're talking to the same person that went to the same school as Funny Mike, who was on Wild 'N Out. And on my aspect and my thought process is, man, when is it going to be my turn? You know what I mean? That's one thing I have zero patience for, because in the back of my mind, that's what the competitive Nate. It sounds so bad. In my mind, I'm like, if you give me what they have, I will be going back to our communities. I will go to Compton to give out Thanksgiving turkeys on Thanksgiving Day. I'll go to Chicago and give out Christmas stuff if I was able to. If you give me what they have, I'll make a difference. I wouldn't just be in this. And don't get me wrong, I'll still handle my business, but I'll do more. I will honest to God, do more. And that's where it becomes of, when is it going to be my turn?
How do you manage that patience?
Time.
Or lack of patience?
Honestly, I tend to just turn my phone off and just take a breather and just say, okay, give it time. You're working. Everybody has their own steps and stuff like that. And, everyone has that one moment. But
so let's a little bit further. So time, but then like you see your potential. You've seen it for a long time. You spend every year, you ask yourself, how dangerous can I be next year? So you're thinking about what you can be doing. When you see an Addison Rae, does that impatience then turn into jealousy, anger? Like, what is it? What happens for you in the moment, like when you're seeing it? Or is it just straight up turns back? Like, when is it my turn?
It turns into, personally, when I see that stuff like that, not all success to her. I'm happy for her. She's doing great things for the state. I look at it as, I have to be better. I have to grind even harder. I have to show everybody around me that I'm going to show out for the state. I want people that looks like me to have an opportunity to change the aspects and change the culture of the world, and not just get the criteria of rap or go play ball. I want to have someone who is very educated and be able to understand life, whether it's marketing and things like that. That's what I'm reaching for. When, all success to her and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but I see that stuff. I want to work even harder. She makes me want to work even harder. When I see NBA Youngboy, he makes me want to work even harder. When I see Funny Mike, they make me, because we came from the same state. The biggest thing we got in Louisiana is Wayne. No disrespect to Boosie, and Kevin Gates, but they up there too.
So is motivational, inspirational, both for you?
Both.
So it's not. So again, back to Keith's point about the ratio of positive to negative, and maybe Keith, I want to look into this because I wonder if it almost seems like it has like an optimistic, pessimistic kind of result to where you are on the scale. But regardless, Jeremiah, like I could very easily see somebody looking at that and be like, why she got this? Why don't I? Like going to the negative of like, she doesn't deserve this. She's not good enough. But you're looking at it like, man, she's from the same place I am. She's doing stuff for the community. I could be doing that, or I could do even more. And it's lifting you to say, yeah, I got this. I got to go harder now.
Yeah.
You have such a healthy mindset, man.
Yeah.
Like, even your impatience is like healthy impatience.
Yeah. Because I feel that patience is an issue for me. Rodney and I talk about this all the time, and there I am saying what Rodney and I talk about. But my like, when is it going to happen? And you said this in the rapid fire, is you got to have faith and you got to believe in yourself, and you just keep grinding. You just keep going. What actually motivates you to do that versus to just give up because it's not happening?
I was going to give up last year. I was going to give up last year, right when I beginning to start this podcast, until one day I was walking to my car. I'll never forget the car. It was my 2018 blue Honda Civic. I love that car to this day because that was my grandpa's.
I take it you don't have it anymore.
No, it was a lease. Okay. But no, that was the same color and the same model car my grandpa taught me how to drive. So of course, out of respect for him, I had to get the same thing. And my neighbor across the street had looked up, because I have a Smartway Podcast hoodie on my back, and he looked it up on like the internet and stuff like that. That's when I found out, oh snap, I'm on the internet. And he was like, "Hey, I checked out your podcast on the internet. I want to thank you for those episodes. You stopped me from committing suicide." That's when it hit home. That's when it's like, okay, this is bigger than me. I have to do more. I have to be better. Every day I have to do more. I think that week I dropped like 10 to 12 podcasts. Just nothing but uplifting, just for the shout out for him. Some of them was funny, some of them was uplifting, but none of them was sad. And, over time, I hear some people come up to me and say, "Oh, you help, your jokes in this podcast made me stop thinking about depressing thoughts and things like that." And I've been doing this for almost 15 months now. And so far, I'm on every single platform. You can Google me, all of that stuff. And we so far have reached 82 countries as of this morning. I plan on reaching 100 by the end of the year. Over 50,000 streams. And it goes back to, when is it my turn? I'm paying my dues. But I see what everybody else is doing. So I'm like, okay, I got to grind this out.
So you just gave some very tangible goals. Countries, streams. How often, like you said, as of this morning, do you look at it every morning? Do you look at it every week?
Yes, every morning, just to wonder who's listening.
And I'm just going to assume or presume that it is inspirational for you, or do you look at it like, I'm not in 100 yet? Or do you look at it like, how do I get to 100? Like, how do you look at the numbers when you see them?
I look at it as I'm making a difference in all these people's lives. And, sometimes I cry about it because at 23 years old, you have that many people watching you, listening to you, and that put weight on your shoulders. There's nobody that prepares you for that. They don't prepare you that in school. Just to say, just for a person to come up and say, hey, you stopped me from committing suicide. Hey, you stopped me from getting out of a domestic relationship. They don't tell you that. You have to learn that. You have to wait for someone to actually text you or DM you, say, hey, you stopped me from, from alcoholism. Thanks to your podcast about going to AA and doing for the community, you helped me. That's when it becomes bigger than me. That's when it becomes bigger than my life. That's when I'm like, oh, shucks, this is huge.
How have you learned to manage that weight? What do you do to manage that weight?
Man, I pray.
Do you still feel weight?
Yeah, every day. I pray. I personally ask God to say, hey, send more people my way that I can inspire. Just bring it on. Because even if I don't make a penny off anything, as long as I'm able at the end of my day to say I made it, as long as if I die, whenever that time be, and someone actually can say he made a difference in my life, that's all I care about. As long as my brothers and sisters make whatever they want to do in life, as long as they have a security blanket of I can go anywhere in the world, and because of my brother, they can, somebody make sure I'm all right, just out of respect for me and what I'm trying to do in the world. That's all I care about. I could have $20-50 million in the bank. I'm not going to say no to that. Don't get that twisted. But I would rather make a difference in people's lives and just be the spark in someone's life. Because I've seen all the joy and all the pain, because like Tupac said, God has punished me to see both sides of life. He's seen me see the rich white people side and the poor black people side. And I can't live in the black side because they are robbing, because they don't have anything. They're hungry. And they tell me that I have to move to this area and I have to be in this middle. And I was listening to Tupac like yesterday. So I felt that. I personally felt that. Because he literally said, when you have 15,000 people ready to do whatever you say, that's when it gets bigger than you. And I felt that. And when he says, when you have one of the OGs from different cities, different towns, and you meet them and it's nothing but respect on both sides, I feel that. I personally feel that. Because I live out here in LA now. I've met those certain people. And I have nothing but respect for them. And I understand who they are because they weren't given certain opportunities. And who am I not to create one of those certain opportunities whenever this does become something more, hopefully.
With that, what does next year look like for you?
What next year looks like for me, I'm not a materialistic person, but I do want a Tesla. That's what I personally want. I want my Tesla. I want my podcast to be signed to somebody. Hopefully somebody take a chance on me, because I don't need a manager or the marketing team. I did pretty well myself. I just want to be signed. I want my Tesla, and I want to be able to travel across the world or across these great US of A. I pay my taxes, I promise. and just be motivated.
You're not rich enough to not pay your taxes.
Thank you. California taxes, I pay way more. But no, I just want to be out and just inspire others. That's all I care about. I just want my Tesla. I want to inspire others, and I want to be, I just want to be happy, man. I want my podcast signed, whether it be by Capitol Records, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, whoever picks me up. Whoever, it doesn't matter, whoever, just know that you're getting a star. You're not just getting a star. You're getting somebody that can, if I was an artist, I could get you 3 albums within a month. You're going to get essentially a shark that's ready for water. They're going to get someone that has been down in the dirt. So if someone has been down in the dirt for so long, and you give them that one little inch, the things next year, I plan on doing. I plan on changing the landscape, whether it's the podcasting world, whether it's the booking, whether it's starting anything. There's certain things I have written down that I just can't say right now. But
nah, that's cool. There's different methodologies on that. Some people are like, share with everybody. Some people are like, share with nobody. Some people are like, share some, share. But it's clear that you thought about it, and it's clear that your energy for it is very clear. And I don't have any doubts that you, like, I believe that you will be successful in all of it, including the Tesla, maybe multiple Teslas. Who knows?
I don't need a lot.
I don't need five. I'm
that 10. Type of person that I'm the type of person that would have. How can I put this? I could have $2 million in the bank, and I will sit at my house and eat a peanut butter jelly sandwich and say I'm hungry because I'm too cheap, and actually go out and give a homeless man 10 grand because they just to give them a start. That's the type of person I am. Now, I wouldn't let a person take my kindness for weakness, but I don't need a lot. I've never had a lot. I would be happy with just a Tesla, a nice little condo, have some solid friends around me that are doing great things in the world, and that's it. I have to have a dog. It's a must. I have to have a dog. But that's it. I don't need a lot.
So tell us about this book. Did you start writing it when did you start writing it?
3 weeks ago. I finished it already. It's called Isle of Zerback. It's about 3 kids from 3 different aspects of life, whether you're in poverty, whether you're in the middle class and upper class. They talk about how they each met each other. And one of them is doing exactly what I'm doing, which is define the social norms of actually finishing high school and going out and traveling the world. Another one is having their college paid for by their parents. And another person is just going through regular life, is just working as a fast food because they don't have the means to go into college. So instead of them going to their own paths, they tend to join the main character and hide in her back seat to see the world and actually go travel with her and talk about life and what they experience in different aspects of life, and just go out and see all across the world. And I made this book because I was sitting at home and I was like, the book. And I always joke about books and stuff like that. And I was like, I can write a book.
A book.
I can write a book. And so, of course, so the reason I was like, I could write a book, but nah. So the people that would read the book, I want them to understand an aspect of wherever they come from on the line. And as they read each of the characters, they will understand and try to relate to any type of relatability they have to the character, whether it be through whether a person has dealt with abuse, whether it was domestic violence, whether it was drug abuse, whether it was people getting sick, whether it was the loss of someone, whether it's not having whether it was having their parents give up on them. I hit on almost all aspects of life, and I tend to have that way it can be relatable to hopefully somebody, and they can say, okay, this isn't just my life. I have to I have to do more to inspire others because I've went through this and I can relate to it.
What's the significance of the title, if you can say without spoiling something?
It would be spoiling.
A spoiler? A spoiler? Okay. I just have to read it.
What? Yes. What's next for the book? You just finished writing it. Mm-hmm. So what's your plan?
I actually was going to publish it yesterday, but for some reason, Apple it was being weird. It had errors. I'm like, I'm gonna give it a couple of days. So who knows when it's going to be fully published? I would love to have it out for my dad's birthday or my birthday or just something significant, just so I could fully remember it forever. But the book will be made free because I don't know what anyone's financial situation is. So I just want to make it free for everyone to read and have a good time.
Well, that draws nicely into the final question.
It does. Firstly, I want to say thank you for indulging us again.
Yes. Thanks for the patience and working through it.
Yeah. Thank you for getting another time with this. And thank you for just for just sharing. You're very gracious with your words and super compassionate, which brings us to the last question, which is, what does compassion mean to you?
Love. Compassion means for love. Whenever I think about the word compassion, I think about what do I personally love? What do I actually love? And that's it. That's what I think about it. Yeah. Well, I think about all the lessons that I've learned throughout life, whether it be from my friends, my uncles, my parents, cousins, whatever. Man, it takes a village to raise a child, to say the least.